Prince Andrew has made his first formal public appearance since the death of the Queen. He walked behind the Queen's hearse as it was driven along the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. Andrew was flanked by his siblings, who were all in military uniforms. Andrew, now a non-working royal, is wearing a suit. The presence of Andrew at these public events is, of course, controversial. It was only 6 months ago that he spent £10 million to settle a civil case with a woman who accused him of sexual assault. And his presence did not go without incident.
Andrew, you're a sexual bastard!
You heard there someone shout, "Andrew, you're a sick old man." And you can see the guy who shouted zoomed in on here. He's on the right there. And you can then see him get dragged from behind. And this is the view from behind the protester.
Disgusting! Wait, I've done nothing wrong.
And this was how the young man explained the motivations for his actions.
That powerful men should be allowed to commit sexual crimes and get away with it.
Of course, Prince Andrew has never been found guilty of sex crimes, but the circumstances surrounding his association with Jeffrey Epstein are now well known. Police said the 22-year-old man was arrested for breaching the peace.
There's a certain irony that there's a man being led away in cuffs and it's not Prince Andrew. I think that this young man was totally fair and within his rights to heckle Prince Andrew, because before we, gloss over what it is he actually stands accused of, it is sexual assault on 3 occasions, once in New York, once in London, once in the Virgin Islands, against a 17-year-old who was a victim of sex trafficking. Now, Prince Andrew, of course, vociferously denies all of these allegations. One of the things that was very interesting, however, is that the evidence that he marshaled in his now infamous Newsnight interview in order to acquit himself was curiously, reluctant to show itself when it came to contesting the civil suit that was brought by Virginia Giuffre. So Prince Andrew famously claimed, well, this idea that I was a horribly sweaty dancer is untrue because I have a medical condition, which means that I'm physically unable to sweat, or have been since the Falklands War. His own lawyers, who I imagine will be very, very handsomely paid and very, very good at their jobs, were unable to find any documentation for the so-called medical condition where Prince Andrew was unable to sweat. Similarly, his alibi for the night in London where he was alleged to have sexually assaulted Virginia Giuffre was that he was, all together now, at a Pizza Express in Woking for a friend of his daughter's birthday party. He said that it was memorable for him to be in such a place, and that's why he was able to recall where he was. Not a single witness was able to be found who could testify to the fact that Prince Andrew wasn't with Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell, that he was, in fact, at this Pizza Express. And then also one of the, the third curious facets of his denial was that he'd never even met Virginia Giuffre. Now, we've all seen the photo of a man who looks an awful lot like Prince Andrew, seemingly with his hand around the waist of Virginia Giuffre and with Ghislaine Maxwell loitering in the background. What all of this tells you is that there were really serious allegations, and if Prince Andrew had been any ordinary man, unprotected by rank or by wealth, he would have had to face the music like anybody else. He would have had to mount a defense, and a court would have had decided whether or not there was a case to answer, whether or not he was guilty in a criminal sense or, merely lost a civil suit, which is still very serious. If he was any normal man, he would have to do that. But because he was insulated by this position that he did not earn for himself, which was bestowed upon him by an accident of birth, he has not had to have his day in court the way anyone else would. So I'm totally unsurprised that somebody heckled him while he was part of this cortege. And obviously, it's very sad that he lost his mum, but he didn't have to participate in the public facing events which constitute her funeral. He could have just participated in the private ones and could grieve as any private citizen would. While he is in public representing the royal family, which he does by his nature, regardless of what his official place within the senior royal family is, he should be subject to criticism. So I think power to that young man. He has all my support.